Hey guys, welcome to this video. Today we are working on the E36 behind me. Excuse me squinting and the roughness of my beard. I've not had a chance to have a shave the last couple of days, so yeah. But yeah, we're working on the E36 behind me, which is the wife's car. The heater blowers recently have stopped working on it, and so we're going to do a bit of diagnostic first, then I'm going to order up the parts, and then we're going to change out the part which is faulty then. Now, the BMWs are actually completely different to the conventional types of heater that have the blower or the fan in behind the dashboard. I'll show you what I mean. Right, on these ones, behind the engine here, you can see is the cover here, but it actually works out that these are very similar to some of the early Vauxhalls, like the Cavaliers and things had a similar sort of setup. The heater blower is actually in behind all of this, underneath the scuttle panel, so you can actually access it from underneath the bonnet rather than having to go in behind the dashboard and like sort of underneath there, which can be a bit of a nightmare. Now, one thing I think that makes this video a bit more significant is I've noticed there's quite a few videos about how to do the heater blowers on these, but what I'm going to do is show you a bit of diagnostic first to do before you just go and start swapping out parts. Also, another thing which is common on the E36 and also some of the other cars that you see with heater blower problems is what they call the resistor pack, which looks like a hedgehog. I don't believe it is that on this vehicle, because you usually find on most cars when the resistor pack goes, you'll still get the heater fans working on full speed. So if they're not working at anything other than full speed, then chances are that's your problem. But this one is just not working at all on any speed, which is why I'm going to do a few checks now to check, see whether it's the motor, the fuse, or possibly even the controller. But I don't think it's the controller, because again, that one on this E36 was changed probably about a year and a half ago. Right, so where I'm going to start is the fuses, which is in this box on here on the right-hand drive models. Again, it might be swapped over in a slightly different place on the American models or the other ones, because they may have a brake booster or master cylinder this side, whereas ours is obviously here on the left-hand side, which actually makes it a bit easier later on if we go that far. But yeah, to get into the fuses, you just literally pull that towards you, and you just saw how easy that pops up. The only problem is getting it off of this bit can sometimes be a bit of a pig, but as you can see, all of the fuses are in here. Ignore this. This is actually for the air horns. It was actually kind of a makeshift gash up job I did just to get it through an MOT, because the original horns were actually not working very well. So yeah, I'm going to go through and check all of these. Right, one thing I will point out, and the first thing I've noticed is that fuse there is actually melted and looks like it's popped pretty good, so I would put a bet on that being the problem, but I will double check everything anyway. So the first thing I'm going to do is probably going to make some of you techies cringe a bit. What I'm going to do is go for a continuity check, which is an old school way of checking in fuses. It's kind of like the outlawed way amongst a lot of manufacturers and car garages now, but I'm going to go for, you see this symbol here which has got the Omega, which is for ohms, that's resistance. Round next to there you see the diode with the little dot on it on this multimeter, which is the continuity check, which has got an audio beep as well. So I'm going to switch around to that one, make sure the hold is off so I'm displaying this one. So when it's like that, basically, when you touch these together, when you've got a flow of current through something, you get that nice little beep. So on a lot of fuses you've just got two dots on the top. These ones have got kind of a visual thing so you can see, but what I'm going to do is go on the two post and check all these fuses. Right, the way they say you're supposed to check fuses is instead of going for that, you go for volts, the V. And it has to be direct current, which is that one there with the straight line and the dotted line underneath it, or not the one with the wavy line. Wavy line is alternating current, which modern cars don't use. So what you're supposed to do then is find a good earthing point. On this one it's a bit hard, I'm just going to use the throttle body, and then you're supposed to check, I don't know if you can see it very well here, you're supposed to check and see whether you've got 12 volts both sides. This one, there's nothing there, but what you're supposed to do as well is put the component on that's not working. Like I've got the heaters on the side of the car, but yeah, there we are. We've got battery voltage, one side of the blown fuse, you can see it's 13.97, which is what is going to the battery. The other side we have got like half of that, so it's making a very poor connection. Oh, it's actually gone to zero now. One cool thing about the Beamers is they have usually got the fuse locations written in here, and underneath here, which this is up in that row there, and you can see, and you've got the row there, row there, row there. according to this, the fuse I've just taken out is for diesel version. This is a petrol or gasoline model, so I don't know what the hell it's on about, but I'm going to try this in there anyway just to see what's happening. But this will just confirm something with me, that's all. Right, so before I took the fuse out, I actually made sure that I turned the heater controls off in this model. So I'll fire it up. Let's put it on setting 1. Okay, so it's not that fuse. So here we are back at the fuse box. So what I've actually done now is, because according to this, fuse number 20, which is this one, is actually a heater blower. So what I'm going to do is the voltage check that I was doing last time. Check and see. Yeah, we got battery voltage that side, and we got battery voltage that side. Right, so first thing is first, I'm going to pull this off. And the way you do that is you flick these three little knockers like that, and then that slides off. And then pull that one off. If you look down here, there's 2 Phillips screws, and they hold this panel on. So the first thing I'm going to do is undo them. Now we're going to be removing this panel, which means that there's a 7mm there, another one in behind me there somewhere, and there's also another one over this side there, and another one under here. Actually, I think the one on the other side that's supposed to be there is actually missing, so we've got 3 7mm to undo. Yeah. These 2 clips, and there's also like a flat blade there, so careful you don't lose those clips. Then we've also got this one which needs to come off of there. You have to be incredibly careful with that. So what I'm going to do, as you can see, that's all out the way. The only thing left to do now is to undo that one big flathead. So I've got this one. Turn that. This cover should just come right off now. Oh, except there's another there's another clip right at the top. So I'm doing this as well, to be honest. There's another clip up here. Now this cover should just pop straight off. Yep. Careful you don't lose this one. And there's this cover as well, it pops off. There we are, we can really see it now. These wires I wanted to get to. So, and put it down in there, you can actually see, there's this side you can actually see, I don't think you can very well, but that's the pollen filter there. And that side, that is the hedgehog I was on about. The one that looks like that's the heater resistor. But that pollen filter looks like it's seen better days as well. I think I'm going to have to get that changed. You can see one's a male spade connector, one's a female, so you can't really get them wrong, so it's not too bad, but I've disconnected them to make it easier to attack with the multimeter, just to find out, make sure it's getting 12 volts to this motor. so I've just had my wife inside just turning the heaters up and down whilst I was checking the voltage, and you could see one side was on 12 volts, the other one was going up and down, so you could see the voltage moving up and down as she was turning the heater blowers up and down inside. So in theory that should work. It's got to be that motor, so it's got to be. Yeah, so there's nothing left to do now. I don't have the parts to fix it today, so it will be pack all this crap away, order the parts offline, which is where I'm going to go in the house and do in a second, and then wait for them to come, fit a new motor, and hopefully all should be good and she should be good and back on the road again. One thing I also wanted to talk about was this burnt out fuse. As you can see, it's got really hot, it started to melt the plastic. Upon further inspection, it hasn't actually completely popped in between. There is a little bit of voltage going across, not much, but I couldn't get the multimeter on the top because of how bad that was melted. So, but if you ever get a fuse like this and you pop a new fuse in and things start working, it doesn't mean that it's fixed, it just means that you've kind of temporarily done it. Yes! Love new car parts day. Right, so welcome back to the E36. Today is the day that the car parts have actually arrived, so we are going to proceed to take this heater blower motor out. I've got 4 of these bolts, which appear to be T20s. So I'm going to use my quarter drive ratchet and a socket for them, because I just find them a bit easier. And also, as you can see, this is actually cable tied on to this piece of metal where there's a hoop, so I'm going to cut that one off just with a side cutters. I've got another cable tie I can replace that one with then. Like many things on a BMW, you get about 12 extensions, it makes life so much easier. Right, now those 4 pain in the backside bolts are out, it looks like all it should be is a case of trying to weave this motor out from inside of there. It does turn out the wipers are actually in the way of this job, so, but this arm is in the way of where it sits there, so I think what I might have to do is turn the ignition on, get the wipers up halfway and knock it off, just to move this lever out the way. I may have to try and move the wiring a little bit more, and my other plan is to take this cover off, which will lower a bit more space there, so hopefully the whole thing will just twist and lift up out. So start with the wipers. You just cover, it's easy. These 2 little clips come off. Sometimes it's better to do it with a flat blade, and then 2 10mm bolts, and this thing should lift out the way, and that whole thing should come out and twist. Oh, this is a bit where we struggle for 20 minutes before calling it a load of names, having a cigarette and trying to work out something else. So I managed to disconnect this one completely. Brilliant. Little tiny clips to hold that on. That means now I should have a lot more room over here. Right, so to get the ECU out, to give me a bit more stretch on this wiring, I'm going to have to undo these 7mm, which will take the cover off, allow me to pull the whole thing back out the way, provided these air horns aren't in the way, which I'm really hoping they're not. There's one thing I just want to say is that yeah, removing the injector cover or fuel rail cover, that was a big needless task, really, to be honest. You don't need to do that, although I probably would have made this a little bit easier, but that was just my bad. There we are, look. Fantastic. New, old one out. So now I'm going to try and do this in the reverse order. We pulled it off. And just in case you ever get stuck, easy way to remember, the black fin goes over on the driver's side of the right hand drive. The white fin goes on the passenger side. Easy other way to remember it, as you can see, this is the side the wiring goes on. It went on the passenger side on this model. So let's just slowly plonk this one back into place. There we are, all back together. Like I said, this hasn't actually fixed the fault. It was a misdiagnosis on my part, unfortunately, but at least you have seen how to change the heater blower motor on one of these E36s. And like I said, to be honest, I don't think it was all a loss, because when I tested them side by side, the old one didn't spin up, like it seemed to only spin up about half or 3/4 the speed of the new one, so hopefully it'll make it better anyway. But I'm currently waiting for more parts to come in, which will come up in another video of how to change the heater resistor pack as well. Again, this car is 22 years old, so I don't see a problem in changing parts like this, really. It is a bit annoying if you're on a budget, but yeah. Let us know what you think. If you like this video, like, subscribe, and also fire a comment into the box below, just in case, like, if you do have any questions about what we've done today or anything like that. Yeah, but like I say, and also I know that the left-hand drive models are a little bit different to the right-hand drive, so I hope this has helped, because to be honest, when I had a look beforehand to try and do some research, I could not find one video on a right-hand drive model, so this is why I thought I would try and make this one, just to hopefully make somebody's life a little bit easier, make it a bit simpler for someone else. But yeah, thanks guys, catch us in the next video.